In the intense and dramatic world of WWE, it's not always the hard-hitting moves or shocking comebacks that captivate the audience. Sometimes, it's laughter that leaves the most lasting impression. The funniest WWE superstars of all time didn't just light up the ring with their skills. They won fans over with their sharp wit, quirky personalities, and incredible comedic timing. Join Wrestling Sphere as we take a look at the kings of comedy who brought the biggest laughs in WWE history. 1. Eddie Guerrero, the master of mischief and laughter in the ring. In the history of WWE, few names have left as unforgettable a mark as Eddie Guerrero, not just because of his incredible wrestling ability, but also thanks to a sense of humor that was uniquely his own. With his famous motto, lie, cheat, steal, Eddie turned trickery into an art form, making fans both furious and entertained every time he stepped into the ring. Eddie wasn't just a talented wrestler, he was a masterful performer. He had an outstanding sense of timing and character, always knowing how to play dirty without ever losing his charm. Classic moments like when he'd pretend to be attacked by an opponent, sneakily toss a steel chair to them, and then fall to the mat just in time for the referee to turn around, getting his rival disqualified, were peak Eddie. It was clever, hilarious, and brilliantly entertaining. Fans couldn't help but laugh at his innocent expressions and cheeky tactics. What truly set Eddie apart was how effortlessly funny he was. He never had to force it. A raised eyebrow, a sly grin, or a perfectly timed one-liner was enough to bring the crowd to tears of laughter. Behind the scenes, during backstage segments, he constantly challenged his co-stars to keep a straight face. His quick wit and improvisational skills made every skit unpredictable and gold. And of course, we can't forget his legendary skits with Chavo Guerrero as part of Los Guerreros. Whether they were pretending to steal, running from security, or conning unsuspecting people in ridiculous situations, the segments were like perfectly executed sitcoms, but without feeling over the top. Eddie didn't just make people laugh. He made them feel like they were in on the joke, like they were watching a mischievous friend who made life just a little less serious. Eddie Guerrero proved that humor doesn't diminish respect, it amplifies it. His perfect blend of in-ring skill, intelligence, and comedic timing made him a true icon. For Eddie, a wrestling match wasn't just a fight. It was a finely tuned performance where action and laughter went hand in hand. On the mat, he wasn't just a competitor, he was a complete artist. That was Eddie Guerrero. 2. R-Truth, WWE's undisputed comedy king. When it comes to the most side-splitting personalities in WWE history, no one holds a candle to R-Truth. With his one-of-a-kind style, effortless charisma, and spontaneous sense of humor, fans have affectionately dubbed him WWE's Comedy King. He doesn't need to rely on flashy moves or prestigious titles. His true gift lies in turning both the ring and backstage into a non-stop comedy stage. R-Truth's brilliance is rooted in his ability to deliver hilariously clueless monologues, spouting lines that seem utterly nonsensical, yet somehow leave the entire audience in stitches. One of the most unforgettable moments, when he grabbed a ladder during the Royal Rumble and climbed it to retrieve the money in the bank briefcase, despite it being the wrong match, at the wrong time. That blunder was so perfectly R-Truth, it became an instant classic. He never hesitates to make himself the punchline. Whether he's having a full-blown conversation with himself, sharing heartfelt moments with a championship belt, or passionately addressing the crowd mid-match like he's running for president, R-Truth's brand of calculated cluelessness is what keeps fans glued to every segment he's in. No script required. One absent-minded glance or ridiculously over-the-top facial expression is all it takes to bring the house down. But R-Truth isn't just funny. He's a genius when it comes to entertainment. His reign with the 24/7 championship turned the title into a comedy goldmine. From bathroom ambushes to wild wedding interruptions, he transformed every title chase into a sketch comedy act worthy of a standing ovation. R-Truth is living proof that laughter truly is the best medicine. He may not be WWE's most decorated champion, but he's undeniably one of its most beloved. His charm, authenticity, and unmatched comedic timing have made him a treasured icon, one the WWE Universe never stops cheering for. 3. The New Day, three wacky dudes who took over WWE with laughter. In a world full of stoic faces, chiseled physiques, and ultra-serious attitudes, the New Day stormed into WWE like a breath of fresh air, tearing down every rigid stereotype in sight. The trio of Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods cleverly used their wit, creativity, and over-the-top energy to turn every appearance into a full-blown entertainment spectacle. From the start, the New Day quickly shed their initial bland image. Rather than taking the serious or intense route like many other factions, they made humor their identity. Their offbeat dance moves, Xavier Woods' ever-present trombone, and their comic book-style outfits all combined to create a team unlike anything WWE had seen before. Big E, with his massive build, would constantly crack fans up with his ridiculously exaggerated facial expressions, wild hip thrusts, and over-the-top antics. Kofi Kingston brought the mischief and childlike joy, always ready to bounce off his teammates in even the weirdest situations. And Xavier Woods, the group's strategic comedian, used his quick thinking and clever timing to drop punchlines or blow a well-timed trombone note that left everyone laughing. What truly set the New Day apart was the fact that they didn't need to act tough to be loved. They shattered the notion that a wrestling group had to be grim and intimidating. Instead, they chose to spread joy, turning laughter into a weapon and every moment on screen into a fun, unforgettable ride for the audience. The New Day's impact went far beyond comedy. They delivered a powerful message. Be yourself, no matter how different you are, and never be afraid to shine in your own way. For them, every match was more than just a competition. It was a stage for their own brand of comedy, something no one else could replicate. 4. The Rock, the legend of laughter in the ring. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson isn't just one of WWE's greatest icons. He's a true master at blending intensity with humor to create a magnetic charm all his own. With the image of a muscle-bound hero, a stoic face, and a swagger that oozes confidence, The Rock might seem like your typical powerhouse. But the moment he opens his mouth, he has millions laughing out loud, and that laughter comes from his unmatched gift of gab. What defines The Rock's style is his razor-sharp sarcasm, slick wordplay, and unmistakable facial expressions. Phrases like, "It doesn't matter what you think," and "Know your role and shut your mouth," aren't just catchphrases. They're verbal smackdowns wrapped in wit that leave his opponents speechless and the audience howling. And let's not forget jabroni, a dismissive insult that became a fan favorite, thanks to the way The Rock pronounced it with theatrical disdain and comedic timing. Every time he picks up a mic, the energy shifts. The Rock doesn't just cut promos, he turns them into full-blown comedic performances, complete with rhythm, tone, and stage presence that rivals professional stand-up acts. Whether he's roasting a rival, playfully bantering with the crowd, or casually storytelling, he always finds a way to turn everyday words into hilarious, crowd-popping moments. It's that effortless charm that makes The Rock more than just a wrestler. He's a pop culture icon. He embodies the perfect fusion of physical dominance and elite-level entertainment. And through it all, he reminds us that sometimes, the loudest cheers come not just from a devastating move, but from a perfectly delivered punchline. 5. Santino Marella, the clown from Rome, who brought laughter to WWE. When it comes to a superstar who could make fans burst into laughter even in the most serious situations, no one fits the bill better than Santino Marella. With his over-the-top Italian flair, a voice that constantly danced between sincere and satirical, and facial expressions no one could ever replicate, Santino became a one-of-a-kind comedic phenomenon in WWE history. From the moment he arrived, it was clear Santino wasn't your typical wrestler. He didn't rely on brute strength or devastating finishers to leave an impression. Instead, he chose to be the comedic relief, delivering intentional awkwardness, sudden slapstick antics, and razor-sharp parody. Every time he showed up, it felt like a comedy sketch was about to unfold, where even the most serious rules could be turned upside down with just a wink or a poorly timed speech. And then there was the Cobra, a finishing move delivered via his hand transformed into a sock puppet snake. As ridiculous as it sounds, the move became legendary for how absurd, and yet strangely effective, it was. The way Santino would dramatically pull the Cobra from his sleeve, prepare it with utter seriousness, and then strike as if wielding some ancient weapon left opponents and fans alike unsure whether to scream or crack up. What made it even funnier was how seriously he played it. That deadpan delivery is what gave Santino his unique charm. Behind the scenes and during backstage segments, Santino delivered just as many laughs. Whether giving bizarre political-style speeches, fumbling the English language in hilarious ways, or correcting himself with even more confusion, his intentionally flawed character was a comedic masterclass in self-parody. Santino Marella didn't need to be a legendary champion to be remembered. Through sheer humor, a dedication to entertaining, and the ability to turn the wrestling ring into a comedy stage, he earned his spot among WWE's all-time greatest comedic icons. 6. King Booker, the royal jester, who had the WWE Universe in stitches. Booker T was once known as a fierce, no-nonsense competitor in the ring. But when he donned a regal robe and a shiny crown, he transformed into something entirely different. King Booker, a delightfully over-the-top royal persona so flamboyant and arrogant that fans couldn't help but laugh every time he appeared. It wasn't just a wardrobe change, it was a total character reinvention. Booker T adopted a posh, exaggerated British accent, delivering every word with dramatic flair and an air of ridiculous superiority. His iconic proclamation, "All hail King Booker," drawn out with theatrical intensity, became instantly unforgettable. Every entrance felt like a performance straight out of a royal stage play, complete with all the pomp and absurdity you could ask for. What made King Booker even more hilarious was his partnership with Queen Sharmell, who played her part to perfection. With her ever-present curtsies and snobbish shouts of "All hail!" she added just the right amount of sass and satire to the act. Together, they strutted through backstage halls and the ring with such delusional confidence, it was comical in the best way possible. This character proved that Booker T wasn't just a talented wrestler, he was a gifted performer with incredible comedic timing. He took the idea of a fake king and turned it into a brilliantly funny, yet oddly charming persona. The exaggerated arrogance, the melodramatic voice, and the over-the-top royal mannerisms created a character fans couldn't get enough of. 7. Kurt Angle, when the Olympic hero became WWE's comedy king. Kurt Angle may be a legitimate Olympic gold medalist in real life, but when he entered WWE as the overly righteous villain, he turned every bit of that seriousness into pure comedic gold. In the early 2000s, Angle didn't have to try hard to be funny. It was his habit of taking everything too seriously that had fans laughing uncontrollably. Playing the role of the perfect guy, who constantly preached about morals and values, Angle didn't just entertain with his awkward sincerity. He made fans laugh with how deeply he believed he was the ideal role model for everyone. He'd go on about integrity, hard work, and excellence like he was delivering a lecture, completely oblivious to how ridiculous he sounded. That inflated self-image became the perfect setup for some of WWE's most hilarious moments. His iconic catchphrase, "It's true, it's damn true," was always delivered with deadpan intensity, which made it somehow both dramatic and laugh-out-loud funny. Add to that his clumsy dance moves, fake emotional breakdowns, and childlike pranks on his opponents, and you had a version of Kurt Angle that was as endearing as he was absurd. Even with his real-life credibility as an elite athlete, Kurt showed remarkable adaptability by fully embracing the entertainment side of WWE. He didn't hesitate to make fun of himself or shatter his heroic image, all in the name of making people laugh. And that's exactly what turned him into one of WWE's most unexpectedly hilarious characters of all time. 8. Edge and Christian, the most hilariously outrageous duo of the Attitude Era. In the wild, chaotic world of the Attitude Era, where edgy personas and rebellious attitudes ruled, Edge and Christian stood out in the most unexpected way, by being cleverly ridiculous. They didn't need to act tough all the time, or ooze danger like many of their peers. Instead, they carved out a legendary spot in WWE history with a brand of humor that was equal parts goofy, witty, and downright brilliant. What truly made them unforgettable was their infamous 5-second poses, ridiculously over-the-top freeze-frame moments for the benefit of those with flash photography. It sounded absurd on paper, but the way they committed so seriously to these comical, exaggerated poses turned each one into comedic gold. Whether parodying pop culture icons, mocking their rivals, or just goofing off in full costume, Edge and Christian pulled it off with a charm that never felt forced or cringeworthy, just endlessly creative. But their humor didn't stop at sight gags. These two were razor-sharp on the mic. Their promos were packed with sarcasm, cleverly crafted jabs, and perfectly timed banter that bounced back and forth like a seasoned comedy duo. They weren't just funny, they were calculated with their comedy, turning each appearance into a blend of roast, performance, and punchline. Edge and Christian's chemistry, quick wit, and perfectly timed absurdity launched them far beyond the role of just another tag team. They became icons of humor in WWE's golden age, not by being the biggest or baddest, but by being the smartest, silliest, and most original entertainers in the ring. They didn't just win matches, they won over the audience with laughter, and that's a legacy no one can forget. 9. Chris Jericho, the Wizard of Words, who mastered the art of smart humor. Chris Jericho isn't just known for his elite wrestling skills or a legendary career that spans decades. He's also one of the sharpest, wittiest entertainers WWE has ever seen. Among a roster full of over-the-top comedic characters, Jericho stood out not by being loud or outrageous, but by delivering clever, perfectly timed humor that made fans laugh and admit, "Man, this guy's got a silver tongue." One of Jericho's most iconic moments was the debut of The List of Jericho, a bizarre checklist where anyone who annoyed him risked getting their name added. But instead of being just a quirky prop, Jericho turned it into a cultural phenomenon. His signature line, "You just made the list," shouted with mock seriousness and a sarcastic glare, quickly became a WWE catchphrase chanted by fans and memed across social media. Jericho's brilliance didn't stop there. He was a wordplay wizard, calling opponents stupid idiots, coining unpredictable nicknames, and crafting promos that were equal parts hilarious and biting. His gift for turning simple phrases into unforgettable moments made every appearance feel fresh and full of surprise. You never knew what he was going to say, but you knew it was going to land. He's the perfect example of smart, calculated comedy. Jericho didn't need slapstick or wild antics. A few well-chosen words, a raised eyebrow, or a perfectly timed pause was all it took for him to pull the audience right into his joke, and leave them laughing before they even realized it. Chris Jericho proved that comedy in wrestling doesn't have to be silly to be effective. It can be sharp, stylish, and downright brilliant. 10. Goldust, WWE's bizarre and unpredictable master of oddball humor. In WWE's colorful universe, no one is, or ever was, quite like Goldust. With his shimmering gold-painted face, metallic bodysuit, and utterly eccentric performance style, Goldust wasn't just shocking, he was one of the most uniquely funny and unpredictable characters WWE has ever produced. Goldust didn't chase laughs in the traditional way. He didn't crack jokes or dance around for attention. Instead, he made people laugh and squirm through sheer weirdness. His slow, dramatic entrances, intense eye contact, drawn-out breaths, and strange, almost theatrical gestures, like caressing his chest and shuddering, created a persona that was equal parts disturbing and hilarious. He walked the line between creepy and comical so well, audiences didn't know whether to laugh or be unsettled, or both. What truly set Goldust apart was his commitment to the role. His acting chops turned even the most nonsensical scenarios into must-watch moments. Facing off against muscle-bound monsters, he never flinched. Instead, he used his bizarre antics to throw them off their game. And while his opponents struggled to process what they were witnessing, the crowd would often burst into laughter at the absurdity, unable to look away. Goldust was never just a gimmick. He proved that embracing what makes you different can become a source of unforgettable entertainment. His unpredictability, his theatrical oddness, and his subtle comedic brilliance earned him a place not just as a unique character, but as one of WWE's true comedic icons. In a world of stereotypes and larger-than-life personas, Goldust stood out by being completely unclassifiable. And that, more than anything, made him a legend of WWE's strangest, funniest, and most fascinating corners. Who impressed you the most on this list? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Wrestling Sphere so you never miss the most entertaining behind-the-scenes stories from the world of WWE.